I would define play as something fun, something enjoyable, something not necessarily out of the norm, but gives you a feel-good feeling. Um, there's different kinds of play. People tell you go to your happy place. Some people go like to a location. Some people go to the beach. Play can be a lot of different things. Play can be active. Play can be something in your mind. So my favorite form of exercise or of keeping myself busy and being in my happy place is when I go to this concert, and I have yet to join the 100+ club for it, but I'm working my way up there. And it's just a feel good, and that's probably the one place where I can't say that I lose my inhibitions, but I'm definitely jumping up and down, and age is no factor there. It's a good time. It's a feel-good time, and I absolutely love it and would do it every day if I could. Usually I go with my husband, but my daughter and I have gone to see this performer a few times too. And like I say, you just kind of feel the wind-up of the music, and I get a lot of steps on my pedometer from jumping up and down at the... Now I wouldn't say a lot of, but I have done a few half marathons, and I do actually just participated in one last week, and it's a feel good. It's definitely a feel good. It's a lot of work, and you hurt afterwards, but it kind of clears your mind. It hurts in a good way, so it's a good outlet for getting that extra energy out, and it's really good for clearing your mind also. I live with a very high-stressed mentally person, and find that when he walks with me, he's a much calmer person afterward. So you're getting the benefits of the actual physical exercise, but the mental exercise as well. I don't know how much you know, but I went through a stem cell transplant, and after that I felt like I needed to do something to stay active. And when I had come back to work, I heard people talking about the Rock and Roll Marathon in Seattle. And I thought, well, that sounds kind of like fun. And one of them ran, one of them walked. I'd be more the walking person. So I said, hey, do you mind if I participate? So they said, yeah. So we've done the rock and roll for a few years now. It's fun. You get to walk for several hours. You see several different bands, mostly at the mile stops and such, and I did it so that it would keep me active. I would get some kind of exercise that wasn't too strenuous, but still kept me moving and kept me going, because I didn't want to just sit around on the couch. But it's fun. I really enjoy doing that. I also have played tennis in my life, and I very much enjoy that. It's a good participation sport. I've played several different singles, doubles, and that's probably one of my favorite forms of play. That and playing with my dog. I like harassing him, and he harasses me. We do great. Play can be for all ages, and should be for all ages. You know, I hope to be playing for many, many years to come, whether it be, like I say, playing cards with friends, or playing with my dog, or maybe I'll even start doing a little more intense hiking out there. It's hard to say. Creativity is just kind of letting your creativeness flow, whether it be drawing, singing. People express their creativity, and if there was no creativity, we'd be a pretty boring society. Creativity can take so many different forms. It could be an author writing a book. It could be watching the kids out there doing sidewalk chalk drawings. Creativity is just such a vast, vast frontier, shall we say. Everybody has their own perception of it. To me, it's whatever feels good, whatever makes you feel like you're getting your thought process out there and you're doing something outside of your norm. I do a lot of knitting and crocheting for my creativity. I like to create new things. I like to combine different colors. I like to add different elements to it, whether it be beads or buttons or whatever the case may be. I would say that probably I'm the most creative in that area. I also enjoy being out in my yard and working in my gardens and doing the creativity as far as like rearranging my flowers, like a bunch I just dug up last week, and moving them to another area and creating a new garden space here or there. Or I have we'll call it rustic area in my yard that I redesigned and put a new pathway in there. And although I'm sure there's many people that could do a lot better things or have way more vision, I think it turned out pretty darn good. We've got some nice walkways, pathways, plantings around it, and it looks pretty sharp. I started crocheting when I was about 10 years old. My cousin did a lot of crocheting, and I just kind of kept watching how fascinating it was to see her fingers flying through, and the end product when it was done, it's like, wow, this is pretty cool. I can do this. So she taught me how to crochet, and then I just kind of jumped on it from then. She was kind of my basis, and I taught myself more so on that. She didn't knit. I taught myself how to knit from that. Mostly scarves and blankets, which is good beginner's projects. And some of my projects, I did a couple of blankets back when I was a teenager, my late teens, early 20s, and entered them in the Puyallup Fair just because that's what you did back then, and actually won a blue ribbon for one of them. They thought that the stitch was so interesting that it was worthy of a blue ribbon, and I probably couldn't duplicate the stitch because I crocheted backwards, and I don't know how I did it, but that was just kind of what I remembered of how to do it, and I did it all wrong, but it was a pretty cool pattern. And then the other one that I did that I entered, I think that one won a second place, and that one was an Afghan that was big enough to cover a king-size bed. So that one took a long time to get it together and put it out there. Crocheting and knitting has gotten me through some tough times. I had some medical issues and needed to keep my hands busy, needed to keep my mind busy. And I didn't have a lot of mobility, so it wasn't like I could go out and participate in the world, shall we say. I had to stay within the confines of my home. And going to my knitting and crocheting, I was able to create things, not only new things that I've never tackled before, which kept my mind busy, but also doing things gift-wise, so to speak, not really for an occasion, a birthday, Christmas, anything like that, just to keep me going, keep me busy, and yet let my creativity spread out there and give gifts to other people, just because. If I didn't have that, I probably would have been like just hanging out, watching TV. Books will get you quite a long ways, there's no question about that, but you've got to have a creative element to it as well. So the knitting and the crocheting and just looking for new, I mean, there's so many patterns, so many things out there that you can do. There's actually I guess you'd call it an action going on now, where it's like urban art. And I don't know, I don't live in the city of Seattle, but people will go out and crochet like things to go around tree trunks or around signposts. It's called urban knitting, and it might be the cover of a fire hydrant or something. It's pretty cool. So people are getting pretty creative with this stuff out there, and I would rather do something and gift it to somebody else rather than put it out there and somebody says, what are you doing? You know, maybe I'll crochet my handlebars on my bike sometime or something. We'll see. Even though I started my handcrafts when I was 10 years old, I still looked at knitting and crocheting as though they were old lady kind of projects. Don't look at it that way anymore, and even didn't really back then. It's a multi-gender thing. There's a lot of men that actually do a lot of needlepoint, knitting, crocheting, the whole bit. I also, with the half marathons, never was interested in running. Running was like not even in the realm of my possibilities, but I've definitely changed my opinion on that. Time is a challenge sometimes. Sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and set the time aside, because otherwise time goes by so quickly. And you can hear it, you hear it over and over, and you think, oh, I have plenty of time. I have all this time in my life. Kind of like having kids. It's like there's never really a perfect time. If you wait for that perfect time, it's not going to happen. So you just schedule it, plan it, and it becomes part of your daily routine. It's no different than going to work. Put it on the calendar and there it is. Now it's in writing. Now you have to do it.